morning, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to this week's Weekly Energy Boost. My name is Elisheva, and I'm here this morning with David. Usually we do this show on Mondays, but we're here on Sunday doing it live with you so as to make space for everybody to connect as they see fit tomorrow, or starting tonight, which is the lead into one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful day on the calendar, spiritually speaking, of course. The Weekly Energy Boost is your 7-day spiritual energy forecast. David and I prepare the most powerful and practical wisdom and tools to share with our listeners so you can best navigate the coming week, which ends up helping you navigate the coming year or the coming 10 years or your entire life with the most, I believe, I mean, obviously I wouldn't be here if I didn't believe it, but the most effective understanding and approaches to navigating life and its challenges. So today we're talking about embracing evaluation. And the reason for that is this whole month of Libra is a strategy meeting with the Creator on how to go about the following 11 months. The month of Libra, Kabbalistically speaking, is the first month of the year for humans, basically. I know that sounds funny, but it's divided, each kingdom, human, animal, vegetable, and inanimate, has its own energy cycle. And we are just starting up our energy cycle. Today is the 9th day of the month of Libra. And the whole month is structured so we can plug in the right energies, the right desires, plant the right seeds. And we've been talking about this for the last couple shows. Today is really more about looking at what has the universe given me in this life, not cars, houses, grocery stores, food and whatnot, more internally, what has the universe given me to work with to achieve my goals, to become the person I know I can be. And from there, we're really looking at what's inside our toolbox this week. What has the light given me? What has the Creator given me to work with in this life? And how can I best work with it?
Yeah, the premise in which we teach these concepts is based on the idea of creation, that the Creator created the vessel, the souls of humanity, to be able to receive all of its beneficence. So all the fulfillment that we could possibly imagine wants to be revealed by the Creator. We just have to be earning it. We talked a little bit about this last week, that there's two kinds of earning, which is a spiritual earning and a physical earning. We went more into that. You can hear last week's show. And when we engage in the spiritual earning, which is what the wisdom of Kabbalah teaches us to do, our vessel opens up and then the fulfillment can come in and the miracles happen. We talked about the 4 kingdoms, which is interesting because I think sometimes people like this kind of content.
I love it.
I love it too. It's why I started studying Kabbalah. not for the popcorn, not the popcorn Kabbalah.
No?
It's
the deep stuff, the juicy prime rib Kabbalah.
Yes, the mystical prime rib. So the idea is that we have 4 kingdoms, and the human kingdom is the only kingdom that has the free will to choose to reveal or conceal the light of the Creator based on our ego, our negativity, our fears, what our soul came to the world with, essentially. Some of this, what we call tikkun, which means correction, what we need to correct. Based on these things, we have the choice to be reactive or proactive. If we are reactive, we receive energy temporarily. We feel good for the moment.
Instant gratification.
We feel instant gratification. And then that light leaves us. It's called simsum. It contracts away from our vessel. So then we feel empty. And people feel this all the time. You feel good, and then you feel bad.
You just described the human existence.
Right. And we call
ups
this,
and downs.
and the Bible calls this the tree of knowledge, good and bad. Where if you choose to live in that reality, and you choose to live in that reality by having a reactive existence, which is I want something, I take it. I feel something, I do it. I have a lack, I allow my lack to dictate my life. Then you live in the reality called the tree of knowledge, good and bad. So for you, or for whoever chooses it, we choose it too, right? We choose it once in a while also. Once in a while. How do you know you're in the tree of knowledge, good and bad? Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Your mood goes up, your mood goes down.
Or you were in a good mood and something happened and now you're in a bad mood.
Now you're in a bad mood. That means you're living according to those laws as a human, according to those laws. There's another reality called the tree of life. Kabbalah teaches us how to live in the tree of life. Do we live there all the time? I can't say that we do. I think we strive to. And I know personally that without Kabbalah, I don't know what, I have no clue what kind of life I'd be living. But what I do know is life is much more fulfilling, much more order, much more certainty, much more joy. Practically, how to make decisions in life with business, with relationships, with children, with parenting, with health. It's all Kabbalah. Kabbalah gives you the roadmap, the blueprint, the outline of how to make decisions. I think I asked a student this 15 years ago when I was preparing for an intro lecture, and I asked him, I said, what's the most powerful, why did you study Kabbalah? I want to tell these new people, tell me something inspiring. And he said, honestly, I didn't have a system of how to make decisions in life, and now I have a system. Now I have a blueprint I can always go to in any kind of challenging situation. Now back to the four kingdoms. The human kingdom has that free will to reveal the light or conceal it. The other three kingdoms actually they don't have free will. Animals don't have free will. Vegetables don't have free will, and minerals.
That doesn't mean that they don't move. And you look at. I'm sure many of you are saying, "Well, David, my dog has free will." Your dog instinctively knows and feels.
It's instinct.
Right. It's instinct. They are right. How do you know? This to me was actually kind of humiliating. But an animal will instinctively run from fire. A human will play with it and touch it, and not only touch it again, be burned by it, and still go back to play with it.
How many times do you go back to that ex?
There you go.
An animal, your dog will never go back to his ex-boyfriend that hurt him, him or her, doesn't matter.
Okay, David.
Can you imagine?
Stay away from that.
Once your dog gets hurt and abused by another dog, I promise you, sure he is not going back to that dog.
Right. So the idea is that we have the free will, we don't necessarily use it. And I think that's David's point.
And now I was going deeper.
Okay,
Let's go deeper. So what are the point of the other kingdoms? It says that the sparks of light that we need to capture and elevate and that manifest themselves as miracles in our lives are actually trapped in all these kingdoms. So there's sparks of light, and there's also souls that reincarnate through these kingdoms. So can a human soul reincarnate into a dog? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's why a lot of times people feel that their dog is like a human. Can human souls also be trapped in lower kingdoms? Absolutely. And there's reasons why, and there's action specifically a person does in one lifetime that causes a downgrade in kingdoms or an upgrade
and it's
in
not
kingdoms.
A punishment.
Nope. It's just cause and effect.
Right. It's important to explain that, being incarnated into an animal is not a form of punishment. It's the universal system is structured so that if a person does X, the way to balance that karma may be it as a dog.
Well, yeah, because if you as a human choose, for example, to live a very animalistic life, a basic one, not a negative one, just I don't care for much. I'm not here to bother anybody. I don't want anybody bothering me. I'm going to eat. I'm going to sleep. I'm going to have some sexual pleasure. Like, okay, that's it. That's my life. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what we've done, we've taken our desire and we've reduced it to some basic desires. So what happens is we now have more affinity with an animal because that's what an animal does. An animal sleeps, an animal eats, procreates. So what happens is you create an affinity to form with an animal. So in the next reincarnation, you assume the body of an animal as opposed to. So it's just kind of fascinating stuff. Now, here's the juicy part.
We haven't even gotten to the juicy part yet.
So the sparks of light are in everything. So this chair that Elisheva and I are sitting in, this is
David's squeaky chair.
My squeaky chair. This is an inanimate object. But we've learned that there are sparks of light, maybe even souls, in the chair. So every time the chair serves its purpose by giving us comfort, we elevate those sparks of light. And actually, Elisheva and I need to meditate on that. And that's how we connect to the energy and the light in the chair. And that goes with everything. That's why you have to respect everything. You have to have consciousness about everything. So why do we need to respect animals? Why do we need to respect vegetables?
Kabbalah is the original environmentalism.
Absolutely. Why do we need to respect our earth, Mother Nature? Not because we're righteous or spiritual or advocates. We are simply practical. There are sparks of light in all of these things. And I need them. I remember teaching a class once that I learned this, and it was so powerful. How many times have you been driving and you missed your exit? Have you ever missed an exit? It happens to me all the time. If I'm
All the
talking on the
time.
phone, for some reason, Waze will not give me the directions. Maybe it's a
No,
setting.
I put it on silent, so I have to be watching. I don't like to hear Waze. I just
Oh,
watch
I'm
it
on the phone and I want Waze
to tell you.
to tell me what's next. So what happens is I get on the phone and then Waze doesn't tell me and I've missed the exit. Anyways, when you anyways,
Da-dum-bum.
great work. So this is why I need Elisheva. Otherwise, me talking, it's not going to work.
So anyways,
so let's say you missed the exit. And I learned this and it changed my life.
you get off the freeway, you go to the gas station.
That
bottle of Snapple calls you out.
That's too spiritual for me.
Okay.
I missed the exit because that extra mile, right? Because Waze recalculates and now the next exit's like a mile away. So I just
20 minutes added to your
20
trip.
minutes added to my trip. Something about that mile, the gravel of the highway had sparks of light that needed to be elevated by me. Now, if I'm angry, if I'm cursing, if I'm upset at Waze, upset at the freeway, upset at the fact that there isn't another exit coming, upset at the person going slow, I'm actually losing light into the gravel. So it probably means in a past life, my soul was also on that road,
on your horse,
on my horse. If we're going back hundreds of years, I was on a horse on that road, and probably another horse came, and I don't know, cut me off, and then I had my horse kick the other horse, and then I got angry, and all sparks of light fell into the gravel there. So now I need to miss my exit, be joyous about it, accept it with certainty, which is what this week is about. I know you want to talk about it. This week is about certainty, about happiness, about mercy. But having those qualities of the light of the Creator as you miss your exit will help elevate the sparks of light from the gravel kingdom and elevate it all the way up to the human kingdom, potentially. And the Kabbalah say there are 320 total sparks of light that need to be elevated.
by every person.
By every person in this world. But of course, each spark of light is then broken down into 10 into 10. So we have billion, trillions and trillions of sparks of light. But the number they give us is 320. And what's even interesting is, you know where I'm going with this, Elisheva?
I'm listening.
Elisheva's like, you're going way off topic, but I think we're in the zone.
No,
we never talk about this stuff.
Go.
There are actually 288 of those sparks of the 320 that we need to elevate. So that's 9/10. And this is a big Kabbalistic secret because it says that final 32, because there's 32 per level, 10 levels, that final 32, which is the numerical value of Lev, heart, the heart, is actually going to be elevated by the Creator. And Michael Berg talked about this, the idea that we have to do in life, there's a certain amount of work you have to do. But you're not the one that ever completes that work. It's always, and you have to have knowledge of this, the Creator completes the end of every process. And the reason why sometimes we feel drained, we feel our process is taking too long, we feel like we're spinning our wheels, we feel like we're in neutral, we feel like we're experiencing the same problems over and over again, it's because we have a consciousness, and this consciousness is what's holding us back. Consciousness that I'm supposed to manifest this. I'm supposed to make this happen. I'm supposed to make this money come to me. I'm supposed to make this relationship come to me. I'm supposed to, and that thought divorces you from the Creator to come in for that final 10%. Sometimes you just got to let go and say, Creator, I've done all I can. You come into the process. And that's actually the whole concept of what Messiah is. Elisheva just rolled her eyes and just opened a new gateway. Messiah is not a guy that comes on a white donkey, even though it says that he will come on a white donkey. Messiah is a consciousness. It's an energy intelligence that when enough people in this world make their maximum effort, there will be an energy that comes that fulfills the rest of that and brings peace into the world. And then everyone will have the same consciousness. And then there might be a person that helps manifest that as well. And the reason why it's a white donkey, I was cringing.
I'm going for a chiropractic adjustment after this show.
White is the light of the Creator. Donkey is chamor in Hebrew, which is the same letters as chomer, which means physicality. So the man coming on a white donkey means when mankind is controlling the chomer, the physicality, the donkey, essentially, is riding it, is controlling it. And it's white by controlling it by the consciousness of the light of the Creator. I rest my case.
I was almost excited that you set me up for my next point, but then I lost my excitement suddenly.
I could keep going.
I'm going to make you keep going because I want to understand how that's connected to you elevating sparks of gravel. So you mentioned that you have to...
If enough people have consciousness that the light of the Creator and the sparks of the light are in everything, in food...
So as you're getting off the exit and your Waze is recalculating and you're going to be 20 minutes late to wherever you were going, instead of saying, bleep this, why do I always do this?
I say now with joy, I get to elevate sparks of light that I lost 500 years ago. And maybe the spark of light is...
The final spark.
Is my soulmate. Maybe your soulmate is trapped in that spark of light in the gravel in the freeway exit that you missed.
That critical mass of light you needed to reveal, that's the last little spark.
Now, if everyone in the world missed the exit at the same time, their metaphoric exit, and everyone in the world said, wow, what a pause. What a pleasure. What a pleasure this is that I've missed the exit. Now it's this next part. I don't teach in Kabbalah 1. We teach pause, what a pleasure. If I told you about sparks of light, 320, Messiah, you'd probably leave the class. But now I'm telling you because you're all ready for it. It's pause, what a pleasure. And now I get to reveal sparks of light that have been trapped in both the physical space and, I just opened up a new window.
Okay, stop.
No, it's coming. It's coming so fast.
David,
I can't stop it.
Stuff to
all right,
say.
I'll pause.
Okay, pause it for a second. The reason I was initially so excited at your example is because I wanted to start this week's show, which I don't even know how long we've been talking now, but let's say 20 minutes ago. I wanted to start with a question we got in last week's show.
Please.
Okay. Ryan, who, he's a big fan. We've gotten some emails from him. He said, when we're making a mistake and feel embarrassed by making that mistake, how do you get back on track instead of dwelling and feeling lack? So you just basically answered it.
That's right.
Right? Even if Ryan and everyone who's listening, and this is the segue to the actual show's topic today, that is you're going, David used the example of veering off the right path, but you could look at your mistake and you said something you shouldn't have said, you were critical, you were harsh, you misplaced something, any mistake. And this is the whole idea of embracing evaluation. You can evaluate the situation as you made a mistake. You can evaluate, by the way, one of the things that got me smiling when you started that example is if I look back on myself 20, 25 years ago, I was a serial get-loster. Okay, I don't know how. I could never get from point. This is before Waze and
tell
GPS.
People to get lost.
Yes, no. Sorry, I could not get lost on my way to anywhere, and I used to get so angry at myself. That's the voice I was piping in before. You do this every time. Why can't you focus? Why don't you have that? Why don't you know north, south, east, and west like everybody else? I
still don't know it.
Okay, so now you don't need to know it. But back in the 90s, you needed to know it, okay? Right. And I would beat myself up. I was late. It was just such a unending movie of why do I even have a license? I should just have someone else drive me wherever I need to. Like, it was this big thing for me. But the teaching that David shared, right? It's up to me. I get to decide what the story is.
Right.
Was the story I am the worst, or is the story, okay, the creator inside of me is leading me down this path. Maybe I don't need to be on, the 101 right now, or Ventura Boulevard or Wilshire Boulevard or whatever it is. I need to be here. And there is that partnership, or the choice that I have in that moment to embrace the situation rather than destroy myself. And by the way, Ryan, even feeling humiliation for a moment is a form of revealing light. Right? Knowing I put my foot in my mouth, knowing I should have known better.
He's humiliated because he said something?
He's not clear. It's not clear in the comment, and it's from last week, so I don't know, he may be listening now and he can clarify. But the idea of...
You made a mistake.
That's the point. Looking at the situation as I made a mistake, I can still take responsibility for not making the best choice, but not file it under mistake. And the energy of this week is begging us to look at ourselves in a different light. And David's story of the elevating sparks, I think that's an intrinsic part of understanding that something that looks like it wasn't supposed to happen, and I'm not talking about evil, theft and murder and things like that. We're talking about everyday Joe, normal, I make mistakes during the day. I should have thought before I spoke. I use the one about I misplace things all the time. Now, the benefit is every few months I find a few $100s stashed away in a book. But the downside to it is I don't always have what I need when I need it. But I learned to look at it as, instead of me being so upset and frustrated and beating myself up, and that's what I want to take a minute afterwards also I'm going to write it down now so I won't forget. But the idea that I get to decide, did me misplacing that book or that $100 or the car keys or whatever, if it wasn't supposed to be, it wouldn't be being. And there's some unique light I have to reveal in this moment. It's not according to my plan. I'm not proud of it, but there is light in everything and every moment. Just because something is challenging doesn't mean it's not exactly what I need right now.
This is why it's great if you're listening live. It's the 9th day of Libra. And on the 10th day, one chapter of our destiny for the whole year closes. So we actually have about 24 hours, a little more than 24 hours, to make any final internal changes that we want to make in the easiest way. And that's what's going to determine our destiny for the whole year. What I wanted to say about Ryan's example is what I've been taught is after you make a mistake, so after you miss that metaphoric exit and you're upset with yourself, you must tell yourself, I missed the exit, I made the mistake, I said those words I shouldn't have said, I hurt this person I shouldn't have hurt, because the Creator wanted me to. In fact, the Creator guided me to do that. It was the Creator's will. Why? Because for whatever reason, I needed to fall, it needed to happen. The Creator used me as a messenger. That is the consciousness after you make a mistake. After you make a mistake, now, the Creator is the one that did that. Does that mean that you now have no responsibility? Simultaneous to that, you need to say, Creator made me make a mistake. I'm not going to feel bad about it. However, I now have the free will to prepare myself to choose to not make that mistake again. So before you make a mistake, it's all you. After you make a mistake,
it's all the Creator.
It's all the Creator. But what it really means is that yes, and you'll still have to go through pain for the mistake, right? It doesn't just all of a sudden delete everyone's hurt that you did. You still have to go through a process. But you need to know that what was the mistake you made that caused you to make this mistake? What's the root? You hurt somebody. You said something you didn't want to say. What caused you to even say that? The root of it is because of our lack of relationship with the Creator, that we feel we're alone. We feel there's something wrong with us. We feel that we're lacking something. Because when we feel lack, we hurt other people. We become aggressive. We become passive aggressive. We say things because we want energy, because we want to put people down. Maybe we don't even mean it. Maybe we didn't even plan on saying it. But as long as we don't feel that the Creator is with us and we're with the Creator, we will do things that come from lack. So that's the original reason why we even made the mistake to begin with. So in summary, feeling bad is always going to get you into more trouble. It's never going to help you. And this 9th day, before the 10th day, is about entering in the final 10 days. So Monday night at nightfall, one chapter of your life is going to be written. Your destiny is going to be written. Some tweaks can be made, but the majority of your destiny is going to be written. When you get to Monday night, get to a place where you're accepting of all the mistakes you made. If you're not accepting it and you feel bad about it still, you're attracting more lack, attracting more chaos. But you have that time now between now and Monday night. Now, if you hear this later, it's okay.
Well, I have the answer.
Don't feel bad if you're hearing this on Tuesday. That's another trick of the opponent.
So
the Creator did not want you to hear it.
One of the reasons we wanted to bring this conversation this week, aside from the fact that what David just shared, it's especially connected to the timing of the live show and obviously till Monday night, as David mentioned. But part of what Kabbalah teaches about our mistakes or the different tendencies we have to make specific mistakes, right? Said before, I was always getting lost. Okay, you could say, well, Elisheva, that's a pretty benign mistake. You know, we all have certain habits, certain qualities, internal qualities that when they're expressed externally, they can cause others hurt, pain, even ourselves hurt and pain. Knowing that, I mean, someone actually asked me, how do you prove this concept? But I don't really know that there is a proof for it. But Kabbalah teaches that before coming to each lifetime, we choose I don't know if we want to call it negative qualities. We choose the qualities within us that need to be transformed. We choose them for the sake of transforming them. So one person might say, okay, well, in this lifetime, I'm going to correct laziness and stubbornness. Another person might say, I'm going to be too direct with my words. I need to correct that. And I also need to correct commitment, inability to commit. And each one of us chooses a handful, right? You stick your hand into the fishbowl. It's a little bit more complicated than that. You pick out a few things to work on. And those things are not there to ruin your life, because you could look at a lot of those behaviors and say, well, I have no self-control. It's ruining my life. The opposite, we chose those attributes to reveal light with. And that goes back to the idea that even though everything is a choice, before the action, it's all on you. After the action, it's on the creator. What that means is that if I this is the week, again, to see the potential light in that transformation, that I know if my tendency is to use my words insensitively, I can this week decide, you know what? In the past year, I know that I was harsh to David, and I was harsh to my husband, and I was harsh on my kids, and I was harsh on, a group of, I don't actually think that that's my issue, but maybe, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong.
You're not harsh with your kids at all.
You should have been there last night. But the point being that it's not there. I didn't choose it so that I would be harsh on my kids or harsh on David or harsh on anyone else. I chose it so I would interrupt that pattern. And what's interesting is that usually people who have issues with the way they speak, meaning they chose either some sort of either fear of public speaking, or they're too direct, or they don't self-regulate, I don't know what you call it, chances are they're meant to use their words to reveal light. And only through that transformation can they accomplish that. Maybe they're meant to write a book, or give lectures, or there's something they're meant to do with their words that they're only going to reveal after they do that transformation. And I'm sure we can all look at different limitations that we had as younger people and see now how, because we work through those limitations, we learn to love, we learn to forgive, we learn to commit, how learning those, retraining ourselves, transforming ourselves, resulted in the revelation of even more gifts that we're here to reveal.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So maybe I'll continue with what I was going to...
Maybe I should leave the room. I'll take my earphones off for the rest of this.
Well, I think we shared a new perspective about elevating sparks of light everywhere we go. And the way to do that is to know that there are sparks of light in everything. And this is, I'm going to go there, but this is something so interesting, because Kabbalah is based on the Bible. People misinterpret the Bible and they make it about a religion or a religious path. And we want to kind of stay as far away from that as possible to realize that the Bible is revealing to us a spiritual technology for everyone in this world. And I think even the majority of our students who study Kabbalah probably are we have Christians, we have Catholic, we have Buddhists, we have, oh my gosh, we have Bedouins that come.
Atheists.
Atheists are my favorite students. The ones who come in who don't believe at all. Totally don't believe in a higher power. And I remember at one point a student who was total atheist, he said he's a proud atheist, but he became our chief marketing officer.
We had him on the show, actually.
We had him on the show. We had him on the show a couple years ago, and he said that. He said he doesn't believe in God at all. And then Kabbalah changed his life so much. He said, I got to teach this to everyone in the world. So, and even the laws that the Bible shares about the animals and the whole idea of, even what kosher is, this thing kosher. People think kosher is this Jewish thing. And I'm not going to get into it, but it has to do with the way souls elevate from animals, the consciousness in which you eat something. Kabbalists even go down to the details of chewing your food. Imagine you put a carrot in your mouth. Kabbalists say you should chew it until it's a liquid, actually, and chew it 32 times. That's what the suggestion is. Not that anybody's doing that, but what you're doing when you're chewing is you're extracting sparks of light from the physicality. When you just eat food and you're just swallowing it because you're hungry, you're consuming the light because you feel pleasure, you feel energy. There's spiritual light in food. But if you eat it reactively without consciousness, you're also consuming the physicality of the food. And it causes problems. So we want to connect as much as possible to the spiritual and as least as possible to the physical. So how do you do that? You chew. It's like you separate the light from the vessel. And that's what you do when you miss the exit on the freeway and you say, pause, what a pleasure, this is amazing, elevating sparks of light. You're separating the light from the gravel, from the mineral kingdom. You're releasing it. Essentially what you're doing. That's why eating is so important. I remember I was reading a story yesterday that there was a student who came to the great Kabbalist, the Ari. This was 500 plus years ago. And he said, the Ari used to be able to see your tikkun, your correction in this lifetime. So people used to go to him and say, what do I need to correct? Tell me what I need to correct. And there's this very spiritual person. The Ari was in his 30s, a young guy. And people like twice his age would come to him because they knew he had prophecy. And he said, what do I need to change? So one person came to him. I think his name was Moshe Galanti. That was his name. And he was already very high-level spiritual Kabbalist. And he said, I know you have the power to see on my forehead. Because that's where the Kabbalists would see. Right? They would see on the forehead the negativity of the person. So I don't know if you knew that when you do negativity, it's on your forehead. Animals can see it. Babies can see it. Humans can't see it. Kabbalists can see it. So he said that it shows that you're totally pure from all negativity, because he was. And he said, actually, your correction in this lifetime is to eat with consciousness. So he said, you need to go home to prepare, because you don't eat very little. He said, you need to actually eat a full meal, because those kingdoms of food need to be elevated, and you have the power to elevate the sparks of light. So not that that's permission for everybody to go overeat, because some people are listening to this saying, you know what, I think my correction in this lifetime is to eat.
To elevate sparks at Burger King.
I'm going to go to Arby's and just elevate sparks from Arby's. I mean, so it's just a funny story to realize that everything we do is elevating sparks of light. And when you're conscious of it, you feel like you're always on a mission. And it's not just, this life is just whatever I feel externally. You're driving your car right now, you're listening to this, you're working out in the gym. I know some people listen to our show when they're working out in the gym, or they're sitting at home. You're working out with those weights. The weights in your hand, they have sparks of light. And every time you use them to strengthen yourself, you elevate the sparks of light. And every time you use the gym because you're insecure and you want to look a certain way because you don't like yourself, so actually the sparks of light go back into the mineral kingdom and you lose sparks of light, even though
you brought up, you reminded me of there's a text I read around this time of year, but last year, and it said that the negativity that is hardest to transform is the negativity that's caused or that's created when a person says, I'm going to misbehave now because I know I can fix it later.
Yeah, that's very negative.
So I want to make sure that,
that's abusing the spiritual system.
There's a lot of people, not a lot, but there's some people that throughout the history, it's woven into the history of Kabbalah, but it's obviously the history of humanity, where there's people that have said, you should do negative things, and then you should go elevate those sparks that you throw
that's
away.
Really bad.
We definitely do not advocate that. The thing that I wanted to say, to piggyback on what you said, is that part of our work in releasing those sparks is not labeling our experiences. And I think that that's, especially when we've spent all this time over the past year reflecting, we've spent the time over the past few weeks reflecting on the past year, it's very easy to go back and say, oh, that confrontation, that was bad. Right. I went through I'm sure a lot of us went this year through a period of overeating. A lot of people were stuck at home, weren't going to the gym. We couldn't even weren't even supposed to go to like the park and exercise and things like that for a while. So a lot of people put on weight, and they're labeling that as bad. You know, that they're saying, I lost control, I was selfish, it was bad. Part of what we're able to do, we're being asked to this week, is recognize that it reminds me of this teaching, and I'm not really good at taking the really deep teachings and presenting them lightly, like it's an article in Cosmo, like David does, but there is this beautiful teaching that there is a unique light. It's actually the most powerful light, that's the light that's revealed this Monday, that can only be revealed when someone disconnects. Like it's the Kabbalists call it the light of pardon and forgiveness, but what it is that it's the light, that unique light can only be revealed when there is something to pardon and forgive.
Right. When you've fallen, that light can only be revealed when you've fallen low.
Right.
And for the people who never make mistakes, they can never partake of that light.
So that to me, what it says about the Creator and the universe is that it's structured so that we actually can't fail. That even when we fail, quote unquote, or we fall, we can use those moments to reveal this unique light that can't be revealed with any other method, with any other circumstances. So, you know, we look at ourselves, and I'm sure we all have people in our past that we've written off. We've said they're bad, or they're selfish, or they're toxic, and they may very well be. But know that the universe itself is rigged so that none of us will ever be a lost cause. We need to be really careful about how we look at other people in situations. Again, I'm moderating a class, and for whatever reason, the conversation inevitably gets to politics in the chat, right? And I think, people get so passionate.
Is it the Kabbalah too?
Kabbalah 3 now. Oh. People are so passionate about their position, their beliefs. They're so sure that they're correct in what they see, that they don't realize that in expressing themselves, they could be potentially hurting or putting down other people.
Sure.
And part of the reason I'm bringing this up is not to point out anybody's fault or this is something that I think we do innocuously, right? There isn't an intent to
I don't
hurt.
have political. The politics don't come in my Kabbalah 1 chat.
They might, and you just
Well, you
don't
moderated one time.
Yeah, of course. There's always a comment, even if it's subtle. There's always something politically charged.
I had a whole thing about Pizzagate in the last one.
Okay, I don't even know what that is.
You don't want to know.
Okay, good. So
I didn't know either until they brought it up.
Well, but this is my point: is that we see ourselves as just that. We're not necessarily looking at other people's perspectives or points of view, and we're not always careful or cautious about how things sound or why am I bringing this up? What is spiritual work? Spiritual work is anything I do can be spiritual work, because spiritual work is doing something for the sake of revealing light.
Mm-hmm. As long as the intention is there.
Right. So like David said, there was this guy who all he needed to do to reveal light was to eat. I don't know. What an awesome mission that would be, but let's leave that alone for a sec.
But he hated eating. That's the secret. He was always not eating.
That's where I'm leading to. That the revelation of light that each one of us, and this is how we look at ourselves, is so much a determining factor of how much light we reveal. Because if you look at yourself and the mistakes you've made as the worst, the darkest, helpless, hopeless, victim, why bother? You're missing out on all these opportunities to reveal light, to do spiritual work. If we talked last week about sharing, about adding value, and you're looking at yourself saying, I don't have any value to add. I'm not, what do I have that's good to, I'm this, I'm that, and the other thing. You're preventing yourself, that process that we do of labeling bad, worthless, empty, is basically preventing that revelation of light, that spiritual work. So spiritual work doesn't have to look spiritual. It's not only meditation and crystals and, burning sage. It is knowing the tools that I've been given, which includes my shortcomings. The Creator has said, Elisheva, you need this set of shortcomings because it's through these shortcomings that you are going to reveal the light that only you can reveal. That's really the message of this week, I think, for all of us, is that not only were you given blessings and positive qualities and and wisdom and you write a list of all the things that you're good at, the gifts that you have. That's not the only way that you can reveal light. The light that we reveal from darkness is actually the greater light.
That's right. All right, let's wrap it up. In summary, what was the last thing you want to say?
I remember reading in a Kabbalistic text many, many years ago, again at the beginning, and one of the things that the book said is that the thing that we need, in what makes the tools, spiritual tools, powerful is the certainty that they work.
Beautiful.
And I'm sharing this. I could basically share this at the end of any episode of the Weekly Energy Boost, but specifically this week, the knowledge that even my shortcomings can be used, are there to reveal light. Even when I get lost on the way to a meeting, that's a moment to reveal light. Even when I'm stuck in traffic, even when the customer at the restaurant is shouting at me, no matter, there is no situation in which you cannot reveal light. Knowing that the purpose of the challenge is to get me to my higher self, to get me to a greater expression of myself. Maybe at the very least, there is light in the gravel beneath my feet. And that's why I love that example, because it is so mundane. It is so everyday and typical and could be assigned to any experience. Know that at the very least, there are sparks of light under your feet that are waiting for you to release.
I love it. And if you enjoyed hearing content like this, do let us know, because I know personally, I want to make sure that our audience is happy and that you guys are receiving what you want. And sometimes that means going at different volumes of spirituality. So if this is, put it in the comments, put it in the notes, email us. If this is if you like the deeper stuff, let us know. If you don't,
we might have to start a new podcast.
If you don't, if you don't like the deeper stuff, let us know. If there are topics that you want us to talk about that we haven't yet, or maybe we have a lot of these topics that we touch upon, but we don't go deeper, remind us, let us know, and we're going to put it into our schedule in the upcoming podcast.
Can I tell you something? Can we end the show on a surprise? Next episode is our 150th episode.
Wow.
So join us next week, Monday, 10 a.m. on Facebook, but of course on any other place that you find podcasts. We are literally on every podcast platform. We are on YouTube. We are on Instagram. We're also on Facebook, of course. We'll be celebrating our 150th episode. I think that's a pretty significant milestone. We're looking forward to your comments and questions, which you can also email us at energyboost@kabbalah.com. Have a fabulous, light-filled week. You are wonderful, you are amazing, and you are worth it.